and welcome to video 5 out of 5. This is the last video of me making my wedding dress. This is the video of how I barely finished. I hope you enjoy learning how I made my wedding dress. Okay, needless to say, stuff didn't go as planned. I described my entire plan from 2 days before the bridals, and I just barely watched it back. I haven't filmed since then. It did not go that way. I was so stressed trying to fix it that I didn't film at all. I had to take everything down to my mom's, my sewing machine and my serger and everything. So I was talking about my friend was gonna come over to help me with the neckline. I mean, to be honest, she didn't have that much time, and what she really helped me with was right before she came, I mentioned that I wanted to sew some extra lace on the sides. And I did it, and it turned out looking not as good because going all the way to the top is just so hard with the lace fitting everything in the sewing machine. It looked like crap. And so I had her unpick all of that, and then I think she just helped me with pinning the sleeves. Maybe that's what we did. I'm trying to remember. This was 2 weeks ago now. Bridals were 2 weeks ago tomorrow, so anyway, I think she helped me pin the sleeves to be the right size, the long sleeves, the lace, at that point. And that was really helpful, but also I was getting worried about it because it was still feeling kind of tight, up in the armpit area. I think it wasn't wide enough around. I'll get to that later. Anyway, so I had the dress completely done. I think that night I also did the bow on the back, which, I mean, that turned out pretty good. I made the bow look nice, stitched it together a little bit, and then I stitched one side of the bow to one side of the zipper on the skirt waistband, and then I sewed a hook and an eye on the other side so I could connect it. And I mean, it doesn't look perfect, but it looks pretty good, and I mean, it's just the bow on the back, and I kind of always wanted that. So that worked out fine. And then after that, I think I pretty much just had to pack up all my stuff because I knew I wasn't gonna finish by then. The neckline still was having issues. I was thinking maybe I could take it in a little bit right here, which is kind of close to what I did. After I got to my mom's, I started working on it again, and so the skirt was 100% done. I didn't have to worry about that. It was just all the top. And pretty much for the top, it was just the neckline and the sleeves. And it literally took 2 days to figure that out because the problem was I didn't have a pattern. I had a couple of patterns to look at, and the problem was that I actually cut things off based on that pattern, but I tried adjusting it. I adjusted it wrong. I tried adjusting it back. It still wasn't good enough, and it was too much this way because it was based on a strap sewn on sleeves. And it was not working very well. I freaked out multiple times, especially since it was literally a day before my bridals, and I was still I still didn't feel like I could figure it out. But what I just went for, I ended up cutting because originally this had been going it was going to be a cap sleeve, but that doesn't work with satin because satin's not stretchy. So I cut it that way. I made a small little sleeve to go around here to still be underneath the lace so it would be wide enough. And then I figured out how to sew that all on, but still it was gonna end up having a hole down here. So I got a piece of lace, made it into kind of a triangle, sewed it into so that the sleeve sewed around would be wider, because also I sewed the sleeve seam so it was a loop, but not at the very top because it wasn't wide enough. So that's how I knew how big the triangle should be. I made that, I sewed that all in, and it made the sleeves big enough. You can kind of tell if I lift up my arms, but I'm not gonna be going around all day like this. You can't even tell. And I got my bridals back yesterday, or 2 days ago. Yesterday, 2 days ago, 2 days ago. I got them back, which was super fast. But I got them back, and my arms are never like that. So you can't even tell. My dress looks amazing in my bridals. Can I just say? I will show you pictures too to go with this. But anyway, so I fixed that so that it was wide enough, and it kind of looks like a little lump underneath, but you don't really see it. I sewed them on, and it took 3 tries. I had to sew it on. I realized I did it wrong, and I missed a part. I had to unpick something to get that out of the way. I had to sew it back. and it was like a mess. It was like retrying, and then finally I finished in the car ride on the way to bridals. So I finished the sleeves the night before. Like, I got them sewn on, they looked good, everything like was good, except for the fact that the bottom of the sleeves, in order for me to fit my hand through it, either your sleeves have to be wider than your wrist, or you have to have buttons. And so I always wanted to do buttons because that would look really nice. It would tighten it up against my wrists. Turns out it did look really nice. But I had to do those buttons, which was pretty easy. It was just another thing to do. I had to sew 5 buttons on each sleeve for like the last few inches, and I wasn't sure exactly how to do that because I was doing it on tulle. So I sewed some ribbon on first so that I could sew the buttons onto the ribbon, and then I also had bridal loops for the other side. And I actually went to my nail appointment before bridals, and I'm like, oh shoot, I don't think I have time to finish, and so I got my sister to help. My sister sewed on 4 of the buttons. That was like a lifesaver because then I sewed 1 of the buttons on when I got home, but then after that I had to pack up and go to bridals. I sewed the other 5 buttons on the way to my bridals, like in the car, and it was so like, why did I do this? I don't know, but it worked out. I barely finished, and I'm just like kind of amazed. I'm kind of in shock that it actually worked because like it was so stressful, but it did. And oh my gosh, my dress looks gorgeous. There we go. I finished my dress. I didn't finish the underskirt. I'm still gonna do that, but I'm probably not gonna vlog doing that because that's not the main dress. I'll just wear that to leave. Turns out we didn't even have time to change when we changed locations. I just had to have a lot of fun stuffing my hoop and my skirt into the car, but we didn't have time to change, so it turns out I didn't need the underskirt on the way there. So, but yeah, it worked. Oh, and then the last thing I did, this was actually the last thing I did the night before. After I finished the sleeves, I tacked it right here, so like I folded it like that and that, and it actually looks pretty nice. Like, it looks like something you do in a normal thing, and it fixed the neckline perfectly. It's just wide enough, still looks good, still looks pretty. The only problem with the dress, which I guess I should have seen coming because apparently it was a problem with my sister's wedding dress too, which she bought. It just had the fact that it was a short skirt underneath and then a big poofy skirt that was separate from the normal dress. But since I did it a separate corset and skirt, the corset kind of like comes up, and so I have to like keep on pulling it down, and that's hard to do when I have a skirt on top of it. And so that's just like a fun part of bridals, that we had to keep pulling it down, and on the wedding day I'll have to do that. But also I was kind of surprised how comfortable it is. It's not like sweats comfy, but it was like my arms, I don't know if I mentioned this in another video, but when I kept on trying the top on over and over because I thought that the sleeves were too wide when I had tried doing cap sleeves, I was getting rashes like right here from all the rubbing, and it just like wasn't working at all. And like I was like, I'm not gonna be able to move my arms at all. I'm gonna have to stick something there so it doesn't rub and like all that stuff. Wearing my dress at bridals, like after I fixed it so that it would go like this and then the sleeve would start there, wearing my dress is fine. It's like not uncomfortable. I mean, it's just as normal uncomfortable as like a dress you'd buy at the store that has a corset and, you know, normal wedding dress, but it's not like more uncomfortable than it should be. And so I was happy about that. I could hug my fiance in it, and so that worked. Like, I'm gonna be able to hug people at the wedding. I have limited mobility, but not as limited as I thought it would be, and so it's all good. It turned out, and I'm so happy.